Stephanie, you're in charge.
I am, I guess. Okay, so we are going to call for a nomination for a temporary chair of this meeting. Do we have any nominations? Who would like to chair this meeting?
Nominate David Hickman.
Okay. Any
All
seconds?
my lawn.
Anyone gonna second that? Any seconds?
I can
Your
second.
second.
You can't second yet.
Oh, I can't, you're right, I
No.
can't do anything yet.
You're not official yet. You're close. Give it a few minutes. So either Andy or Arlen got it second.
I
Arlen?
second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I guess.
We'll muscle through it. It's all good. Thank you. So then it's on you, Dave, to do, just to call the meeting to order, and then I will do roll call.
I'll call the July Planning Commission meeting to order at 6:32 PM. We're gonna have roll call, please.
Yes. Sharon Christensen.
Here.
Arlen Kai.
Here.
Tim Janacek. Not here. Andy Blomstrom.
Here.
David Hageman.
Here.
And should I do the? Yeah, may as well. Chuck Sewell.
Here.
And Gina Larson here. All right. Okay, next.
Did you like this thing or didn't you?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
I'll get you a handful.
Have approval of the June 21st, 2022 minutes.
Move approval.
I'll second that.
All right. Do you have any questions on the minutes? If So I'd ask for approval of the minutes. Everybody in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Minutes are approved. Number 4, anybody in the public have any comments regarding anything related to the planning commission? All right, hearing none, strike 4 and on to 5. Appointment of Chuck. Let me help you,
Silently.
Soul, Chuck Soul and Gina Larson to the planning commission.
And Wayne.
Stephanie, you help me out here?
Yep, Wayne can do this part and then
I have to do this first.
I'll do the oath.
So do you have any writing in there or just
Nope, you just basically are welcoming them and saying their
Chuck?
appointment.
Thanks for filling out application for the planning commission. We appreciate you coming on board. We look forward to working with you and I thank you. And we'll now, after she gets done, be official.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to have you both stand and I'll read.
We kind of did this.
Thank you for joining the planning commission and we appreciate it. And look forward to working with you.
And I will read the oath and then you guys just say whether you do or you don't, and then you'll sign it. And so will I. So I. State your name, please.
Chuck Soul.
Gina Larson. Having been appointed to the Town of Oregon Plan Commission, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
I do.
Okay, well, there you go. I will pass it around. Your signature. Here's yours. And then here is yours.
Thank you.
But we don't have to get like pledge pins or anything from them. We're all done.
Right, that's it. That was painless.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 6. Nomination of planning commission chair and secretary.
I would nominate Tim Janacek to be the chair of the plan commission.
I just have one question. Thought process.
Yep.
Do we have to do a permanent one tonight? My thought is, we've got 2 fresh people on board. So it'd be nice to maybe work for a few months to get to know the new people. Maybe they're interested or something, but I mean, I don't think it's fair to ask them right now if they think they want to do something like this. I didn't know if we could put this off. I mean, if Tim or somebody wants to be the temporary chair, I have no problem with that until we, can get to meet the new people and then maybe they are interested or maybe they're not, but it was just a thought.
Sure. I don't know the technicality of that. I just know that in the past, it's just been that this is when the nomination of the chair happens, is the changing of hands.
This is the first meeting of the,
Yep, yes, the changing of the commission members.
I think we should go ahead. I welcome the new members here. But, it's going to take a while for them to get to know what's going on.
Sure.
They, in a few months isn't going to do it,
Sometimes we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's very true, sure.
So my personal feeling is the more knowledge we have in the chair position, I think the better off we are. And I should rephrase that. Not the more knowledge, the more history and experience with the plan commission. Because a lot of people have more knowledge than maybe all of us put together here, but then, I'm speaking of knowledge of the plan commission.
I agree with you, Sharon.
All right, so I guess we'll do something here this evening then.
Sure.
I'll second his nomination.
Okay, so Arlen Kai moved to have Janacek be the chair and Lumstrom seconded. Okay,
Can I nominate Sharon Christensen to be? No, she's shaking her head no. Okay, scratch that.
described the qualifications very well.
I don't have any. This is why I'm shaking my head no.
All right, so are there any other appointments anybody wants to make? All right, hearing none. There's a motion out to approve Tim Janacek for chair of the plan commission. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Aye. Nothing? Okay. Tim Janacek is our chair. So Stephanie, have we had a secretary?
yeah, it's me.
Okay, that's I couldn't say.
Do we
It's just a
officially need to
It's
nominate
just
you?
a technicality, but it's me.
Yes, we do need to nominate
Yes.
her.
Yeah.
So nominate her to be our secretary.
I'll
Sharon
second that.
nominates, I'll
Okay,
second
Sharon.
that.
And David.
All those in favor of Stephanie for secretary?
I,
Those opposed? Carries. So wrapping up number 6, we have secretary of Stephanie and Planning Commission chair of Tim Janacek moving forward. Number 7, review and possible action update of town land use plan. So other members can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the status that we're at is we're waiting for Brian Standing to get the edits done so we can get a draft back from him. So the stuff was in it, because the previous one, as we noted, had some typos, different questions that reference to cross plane, and then moving that shell. So we want to get that back. Arlen Kai submitted some additional questions. And we haven't heard answers back from those yet, have we?
but no, Tim sent an email to us saying, where is everybody else's comments? So this is, I had Stephanie print off what it is that I sent to Tim. And he said, please, everybody else, send yours. So, or can I put this out there for you to comment that or say yes, no, get a different idea. So he wants to have our comments sent to Tim and he will forward to my understanding.
That's right.
Did you want to you be going through those?
Actually, did you want to go through your questions before we hear back from?
I don't know that you necessarily have to use the meeting time for this. Unless you
Okay,
think that it would help clarify some questions.
well, I think it might be better if we had Brian's input on some of your.
These are also, for new members, these are questions of the draft that's really in the packet from June 21st meeting. Who's Brian? Brian Standing is our planner, he's staff of Dean County Planning. We've hired him to put together the draft comprehensive plan, so he is our consultant.
So we do what's called co-zoning. So we just can't go on our own and do what we want. We have to kind of work with the county. So the county has planners. One of our planners is Brian Standing. So right now, we came in at a fun time. We're in the middle of redoing our comprehensive plan. State requires that we do a review, I think it's every 10 years. We're kind of taking a deeper cut and just doing a review at this time. Trying to make it a little more clarified, easier to use going forward. So Brian's been working with us and we've sent him, he created a draft. There were some questions people had, some typos, stuff like that. So we're kind of waiting for Brian to get back to us with a kind of a good draft that we can sit down and go through and see exactly what he's suggesting. Our own thoughts, questions that he's had handed out tonight. And another way the county helps us, if we have people come before us that want to rezone something, let's say somebody's farming or split or boundary dispute or something like that. Petitioner comes to us and we as a township look at it and say, yeah, we're comfortable with this or no, we're not. We may have a question on something. County, if we're comfortable with something, then we'll approve it and it moves up to the county. County, I mean, from us, it'll go up to our board, and then the county also has to approve it. So it's kind of a high overview of all things. So we just can't sit here and do everything on our own. Work with the counties.
But what we're doing is also becomes part of the Dane County plan. So it's not just Dane County has a plan out there. It's a plan of all of the plans of the towns in the county. And they incorporate that.
All the zoning changes and so on that take place here have to be approved by the county and they go by our plan.
Yes.
So that's why our plan is so important.
And the county also has to approve our plan. And then the state, I believe, also has to approve our plan before it becomes gospel, so to speak. Gospels can be rewritten. You can always amend the plan that we have. You just don't want to be amending it every couple of months. I suspect most towns do an amendment to their plan maybe once, maybe twice a year, if that.
So Tim forwarded these on to Brian, right?
I don't know that he has. I think he was waiting for everybody's stuff.
He's on vacation now.
Right.
Tim,
Tim has that.
Right.
He has not forwarded it on. He was waiting for the comments from.
If there were any other comments from others, planning commission members besides Scarlett.
Do you have any other comments or you just want to let this one fly?
Now, are we talking comments through the whole, the draft of the comprehensive plan that was dated June 8th? That's what we're dealing with.
Yes. That land use chapter.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I had a lot of these questions that Tim has here or that you have regarding some of the statistics and how they've changed. I didn't quite understand all of those either, but I didn't go into it in detail. I was more concerned with the verbiage in the full draft. And I don't know, sometimes it maybe would be advantageous for us to sit down and go through the whole thing together and say, is this what we want? Is this what we planned on having? Is this what is written here, is that what we really meant?
So. Do you have any other thoughts? Karen, still? Okay. So I guess, sure, my question would be, do we want to send these questions in our own hands and then some of other us also have with these? Should we have Tim send that on? I don't know if he's on vacation, check his email, but if we all got back to him, if we get back to him, tonight, we have no more questions. We want to get these to Brian Standing, find out.
And I can do that.
Right, if he can get these answers done and was incorrect, are referencing cross planes and some other stuff is obviously wrong. If he could get that back to us, then we can do like Sharon said, sit down, go through it line by line, basically, paragraph by paragraph, and make sure it's what we want. I guess my only thought, Sharon, is do we want to start with this, knowing that it's still got some hiccups, or do we want it a little finer yet before we sit down and really start going through it?
I'm okay with it either way. My only thoughts is if we wait to do the whole thing once we get another hopefully final rough draft, we're another month down the road.
Yeah.
And how many more months down the road we want to be before we can finalize this thing? And I know you two are going to be at a disadvantage as to absorbing everything. Maybe not, maybe you absorb quicker than I do, but you know, I'm hoping that you two will be able to grasp everything that's in here. So it becomes an easy transition for the Plan Commission, not just for us, but for you as well. So you don't feel lost. And the only reason I say that is because when I came on board, this was in the middle stages of being developed. And there are still times when I think I'm lost. So I'm hoping that you will be well versed in everything you're doing. Comfortable.
So would it benefit maybe, Gina, if we had a work session meeting and give them a couple weeks to read through this, and then we could get together and go through this and start. If Brian gets us something, that's great, because it shouldn't be too much different than this. He applies the questions and fixes the stuff that we know.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, and you're seeing this for the first time tonight, right?
Right, so I mean, I was
So-
thinking we could sit here and go through, but it's not gonna be fair to them and.
No.
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 You're talking chapter 8 land use,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yes.
I take it you didn't read it on the way. I didn't have it, so.
So you both needed an opportunity to read through it and kind of digest it, and you may have all kinds of questions for us, and that would be wonderful, because then that makes us
I'm
all,
gonna say much
more
less
aware.
than it gets a fresh new set of perspective eyes, so.
You also have, but you're reinforcing what you're saying, showing the adding of, or having the complete thing to see where things coordinate, that we should not be approving just one
section of it.
chapter.
Oh,
that,
true,
If it's,
true, but this is our
this is a
our
start. This is a big start.
biggest and hardest chapter to redevelop.
Kind of the bread and
refine.
butter of the whole thing.
Yes. Because a lot of the other stuff is just kind of cut and dried stuff. But this chapter, I think, is the most important to me anyway.
So Stephanie, what's the calendar when we wanted to look ahead a couple of weeks?
Let's ask our two new appointees what what do they feel comfortable with?
2 weeks is fine for me. I don't have any vacation planned. So I'm pretty available for most of the summer.
Talk to work session. Having a work session.
I'm on vacation in the first 2 weeks of August.
It's okay. We have an election.
But you know, a little
anyway,
light reading to take with me.
so We have an election in August.
Oh, that's
so
right.
That wouldn't, the first 2 weeks wouldn't really be a option anyways. Well, I mean, actually, right after that, but right after that, we have our actual plan commission meeting.
So should we just get it at our next plan commission meeting then?
That's the 16th of August.
Well, then
That sounded good to you guys?
And Brian Standing can be here that day, I believe. So that's up to you guys whether we have him come. If we want, if you wanted, I can ask him to have a rough draft of the whole thing. What Tim had stated in an email, and I thought it went to all of us, but maybe it didn't, was that maybe section by section, but having the whole plan and then planning a month at a time for doing a section by section, like review of it with all of you. And we could do that in work sessions, we could do that in, set up, if we need more of them. You can.
Well,
set
hopefully
up
some
work
of the lighter sections, we could maybe knock off 2 at a meeting or something.
Right,
instead
right,
of
right,
having
yeah,
to
sure.
have a month for each section. But
No, right, you could do a couple.
between now and
sections.
the next meeting, when we want to discuss this, and you talk that Brian be here, I'm just trying to think what's going to be the most effective use of his time and ours. If he can address these questions in the next week or two and apply them and get the draft made and have answers prepared to the questions that Arlen has put forth and Tim has put forth. If he could get that back to us before the meeting, so we could at least review it.
Yep.
Then I think that would be a very worthwhile meeting, our next one then.
I can see if that can happen. It should be able to.
So I guess I have no further questions to forward to Tim. Does anybody else have any other questions they want forwarded to Tim that we're going to go on to Brian Standing? So Stephanie, it's like Tim in town, or is he responding to email? Can you check with
He's
him?
been responding to emails. I don't know
Okay.
if he's on vacation now, but up until yesterday, I mean, he
So,
was responding.
He was kind of saying he was waiting for people. Can we just take the liberty of
Yeah.
you just
I'll just-
forward on and say, this is it,
Yeah.
Arlen's and all, everybody's question, and forward that on to Brian and tell him to please address these as soon as practical for him, and we'd like it back,
Yes.
like at least a week before our next meeting that we could review it, and if he could be there, that would be great.
Yes, I can let him know. I can let Tim know at the same
Yeah.
time. Hey, Arlen,
Right.
these are the ones we're forwarding on because nobody else had any
Yeah. Right.
at the meeting. So
It's just to get that ball, keep it
yeah.
rolling. so.
definitely.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then we'll plan on our next meeting in August
16th.
Mhm.
to go through this chapter 8 for sure. Assuming Brian gets that back. And if he doesn't, we'll just take the current one that we have and go through it best as we can.
I mean, I'm sure that he can at least get the land use portion of it done. They weren't very complicated edits that you were talking about in questions. I'm sure he will be able to.
All right, so I think that'll, and like I say, between now and then, we can continue to review it ourselves and have questions ready, but hopefully if he does have it done, it's not that drastically different that any questions we have either A are obviously answered by his stuff, or B, we still have a question. That's what I got for review and update. Does anybody else have any comments on number 7 they want to add?
Just for new member, well, everybody, new members, this map was adopted. And if you look at the transition, the orange, the bright orange around the village, that is their anticipated growth area the next 5 to 20 years. That they are going to be expanding into those areas.
Included in your maps and in Chuck's map area in the book of maps that I gave you today is the other village that kind of gives you an example of, goes even far beyond that. You know which one I'm talking about, right? The one with the red dotted lines on
The red
it.
dotted line.
Yep.
Oh, this is sort of using the red dotted
It's
line.
this one, the Village of Oregon. It says it up, and it's really pretty actually, so you can find it nicely at Lakes and Colors. Village of Oregon Comprehensive Plan, that's their actual land use map. And as you can see, there's the areas like the Village of Oregon's extraterritorial jurisdiction, that's all outlined in black. That goes out quite a bit, quite a ways further than maybe we show on ours, just because it's like the further extended. That would be any of the areas where the residents would have to ask the village for permission as well and get sign off from them with any changes of zoning that they need to do.
And then on there, the 1 to 35 means one dwelling to 35 acres.
I was just gonna bring that up. So our town of Oregon is under what's called exclusive ag zoning. And that was adopted back in late of 94, early 95. So basically, for every 35 acres a landowner owns, they are granted one split. Now, when you read through our comprehensive plan, there, you'll see things where we're tweaking, things like we have a roundup rule. So when you do that division, I don't exactly remember what we say, but you may get rounded up. And you'll see things like contiguous. So if a farmer over time before 94, let's say, has bought maybe a neighboring farm, there was a farm in between. Used to be the land had to touch. That's not the case anymore. It's what you own. So those are things that we're trying to clean up and make very clear in our comprehensive plan. So when you look at this map, you'll see the first three categories. Farmland preservation is 1 per 35. Rural mixed use is 1 per 35. Ag transition is 1 per 35. And you'll see the rural development, which on our maps is basically all of our subdivisions in the township. You'll see it's 1 per 2. One thing that we, as a plan commission, are contemplating is, do we want any areas in our township to have more density than 1 per 35? That's something we're possibly thinking about doing, looking at, or trying to understand the impacts of if we do that. And where you see that yellow is where that could potentially happen.
That would be a rural. If you see a rural development in the packet from last month, that's a possibility of saying this is an area that could be developed. That's outside of the ag transition zone around the village. So they have, that has not been set.
And as you read through stuff and you go forward our meetings, another topic that we're looking at adding to our comprehensive plan is something called a TDR, transfer of development rights. In that case, a landowner with large amounts of splits, he may never want to split up his land and sell his land, but he may want to sell one of his splits, get compensated that way for it. And there may be somebody else in the township who would like to have a split and build. So they could work on an agreement with that large landowner and say, I'll pay you X for one of your splits. And there's what they call sending and receiving areas. So large landowner, if he's in an applicable sending area, he can send a split. And if the person who wants it is in an applicable receiving area, they can utilize that split. But there's parameters. So I mean, right now, you gotta have 2 acres for a house in the township of Oregon, and there's other things like that that are still in play. But it's a new way for somebody to get a split in the township. So things like that is what we're looking at when we say we're kind of updating our comprehensive plan and tweak. So those are the things you might see or read about when you're going through that.
Question of Stephanie. we have TDRs, the transfer development rights has been around for decades. But we do not have I understand, we do not have a policy, we do not have an ordinance until this comprehensive plan passes.
Yes, you're correct.
So it's important, this is an important now.
So I guess that's all I have on number 7, unless anybody else has anything else you want to bring up. Otherwise, we will hit it in detail at the next meeting and watch your email in case Stephanie gets something back from Mr. King that we can look at preview before the next meeting.
So if it's going to be in the town board, have this passed around. If you're the vision, this is about 20 years old, it may be needing to be updated. But on the inside, the first page inside, there's 4 points as to what the goals are. You will find those 4 points in the issues and opportunities in the existing comprehensive plan. So that's the first page of that. So just, that's the intent. If you're also looking at the draft that we have, there's some very interesting statistics as to where the town has been growing, where it hasn't. Some of the farmland has been shrinking, some of the woodland has been increasing, and residential land has been increasing. It's interesting to look at that, but residential growth is still slow. The big thing that you keep doing is preserve the real character of our town. If you know what that means, great. So that's certainly up for interpretation, but we are to be upholding that. So what that means, I'm sure it means something different to a lot of people. Open space is a big part of that. We are looking at having this, we targeted, can we get this done by the end of the year? Can we do that? I think we can beating around on this, whatever, we not only have to come up with the draft, we have to have public hearings on this. So all that takes time. Sharon, you're shaking your head.
Well, if we're gonna go through this thing after we get a rough draft, kind of chapter by chapter, we don't have that many months left in the year. That's why I would like to see us to be able to do more than one section at a time.
Yes.
I mean, if it takes a little longer meeting, I personally am okay with that, but I have the luxury of not having to go anywhere the next day. So, not everybody has that luxury. So, everybody's got to let us know what they're comfortable with and see if we can't maybe incorporate more than one section at a time. Unless everybody's comfortable putting it off into the new year, but it would be nice to have it done.
I think when we get through chapter 8, we can hit that next month, get an idea of what it takes, and this is the hardest one.
Right.
So we get through that. I'm hoping that some of these easier ones like statistics, Jack, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they should be cut and dry and not change much from previous. So hopefully we can knock a few of them off each meeting.
David, I just got a thought, if you have a work session, you could advertise it and call it a regular meeting where maybe you could knock out one of them at a work session too.
Yes.
Yeah, if we identify.
But you'd have to advertise it as a meeting, to make it official.
That's what I say, if we can get this next one done at the next meeting, get it just kind of, the new people will kind of be up to speed, we can see where we're at, what Brian's given us, and hopefully get a good level set move forward from there. That would be my goal. All right, so moving on to number 8, anybody have any communication? Hearing none, I'll go on to number 9, Harlan County on board items.
The town board has put the spurs to this. Get this done.
I'm saying, does that mean wall?
Spurs means go.
Did I say that right?
You said it right.
Okay.
All right, duly noted.
I
Spur
just
force
pulled
and
up,
then stop.
this is what the public input session timeline that we went by last year. And as you can see, it started in August and that end time was going to be February. So if you kind of went by, these are sections, as you know, these are sections. You could go by the similar and go through them, maybe switching them around, maybe throw in the land use chapter up here, because that's where we're at right now. But that's kind of a month by month. That's without any meetings in between. So that's not before the end of the year, but that's what you're looking at if you stay on that monthly.
With public
Yes,
input,
this is the actual public hearing where
first of the year.
that would be then in January. If you could continue on this schedule. But we can just move it around and then maybe add some more sessions in there. And this would look similar to what you guys are looking at.
Say, my hope is that we get this hardest number 8 out of the way and get that finalized. Then I think we'll all be feeling better. We've been all talking about this for so long, and we can see it in front of us, beat on it, on a
We
piece of
start-
paper,
Yeah, start with
what
land
we
use
want
chapter.
and move forward. At least that's my goal. All right, hearing no more town board items. Move on to number 10.
I so move.
Second.
So never happened to move forward.
Is that Stephanie?
Just gonna say, don't tell the board members, get used to this.
Yeah, no, this is,
Okay, what
and we have
was it? It
unusual
was Sharon,
circumstances here too. So,
it was Sharon. And who was my second?
Dave.
Yeah.
like I say, I would highly encourage everybody to watch your email, read the packet, so we're ready to go at the next meeting. You show up section 8.
The cupboards room.
The culverts.
Oh.
What?
Yeah,
I'm
he
gonna say.
updated it.
With the town board members here, do you have anything you'd like to say? Should have said that before we adjourned, but we'll still listen.
You're on the right track.
You know, I'm hoping that they will include the possibility of where we could possibly have some development. Because we're fighting against the levy and increases and fire department and things like that. So just if this is a possibility, that's kind of what I'd like to see.
And Arlen had mentioned it